Divorce is not easy for parents or kids. Everyone in the family feels a tremendous sense of loss and anxiety because the family as they know it will no longer be the same. One of the biggest priorities during a divorce is ensuring that children continue to thrive. While it is undeniable that divorces are challenging for kids of all ages, the good news is that there is a lot that parents can do to support their children during divorce. Hi, I'm Kim Feeney with Butterfly Beginnings Counseling, and welcome to my channel. I have over 10 years of experience helping hundreds of children and families to lead healthier emotional lives so that they can cope with big emotions. I'd love to do that for your family as well. So go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell for weekly notifications on the latest content. In order for parents to be of the best help to their kids, they need to start with working with their own emotions, especially a common guilt they feel towards their kids for having the divorce in the first place. It's helpful for parents to recognize that coupling is one of the hardest things to do in the world, and as a result, divorce occurs in 50% of all marriages. It is nothing to be ashamed of. In many cases, it is better for everyone involved to sever a relationship that is causing grief. Children experience a great deal of anxiety when they live with constant parental discord. In fact, many situations, children do better when they relate to each parent alone in a healthy environment. If parents accept their decision and present it as a natural part of life to the kids, they can help their kids to overcome the difficulties that come with divorce. For many parents, telling the kids about the divorce is one of the hardest parts of the entire process. Children look to us for security, and a divorce inevitably shifts the family foundation a child has come to rely on. It's also a very important conversation because it gives parents the opportunity to try to lay the groundwork for a healthy start for the whole family. If possible, it's recommended that both parents sit down together calmly to share the news of their divorce with their children. To head off potential sources of conflict, both parents should agree ahead of time about what to say. This is a time when the kids need to be reassured, and the best way to do this is to show your children that you are both still on the same page and parenting team. However, if it just isn't possible for both parents to be present for this conversation, experts recommend that whichever parent is around the most should share the news to the children. What you say will depend on the age and maturity of the child. You don't want to overwhelm the children with the details and the nitty-gritty. It's generally better to let them ask questions rather than to try to give them a lot of information they aren't ready for. Of course, kids will sometimes wonder about when changes will be happening. And of course, some divorces are civil and quick, while others take a long time. You want to give kids a little bit of a timeline if possible. You could say something like, "We are separated now with the intention of divorcing. It may take some time to work out the details, and as for now, just think of us as we're divorced." If you do already have some idea of what the transition will look like, it will be reassuring for the children to hear some of the details. Make sure to give your children ample advance notice before a parent moves out. It works well if the children are able to visit the second home and know where they'll sleep and when they're going to visit. It's wonderful to involve the children in helping to furnish the apartment or new home and bring over some of their possessions and belongings. And if there is a custody disagreement, a child-friendly way to explain this might be to say something like, "We both love you so much and we want to be around you. So we're trying to figure out what we think is best for you. We don't agree on that right now, and we're going to figure it out as adults," with other adults weighing in their opinions. Another good rule of thumb is to avoid discussing financial settlements with children or sharing any information that makes one spouse look bad. You want to avoid any unnecessary conflict as much as possible to try to preserve a healthy parent-child relationship, which is very important for the kids' well-being. Of course, kids can react in many different ways to a divorce announcement. If there's been a lot of fighting in the home, some kids may actually feel relieved to hear about the divorce. And it is more common for kids to feel upset or maybe even guilty. However your kids react, it is important to listen to them, take their concerns seriously, while making it clear that the divorce is not their fault, and that as parents, you will do your best to help them feel secure and loved. Children will often start to worry about what the future will look like. Teenagers may sometimes fast forward to worrying about parents getting remarried. If this is something that comes up, something like, maybe, maybe not, of course, I would want to be happy, and that could be part of my happiness. And you're still my child, and no one else is going to replace that. For worries that are more immediate, like who will take the child to soccer practice or what a new bedroom might look like, getting clear answers can be very reassuring. If you're still working all the little details out, tell your child that you're working on that. And you'll let them know the answer as soon as you can. In the meantime, you can look for other ways to help them feel secure. For example, posting a temporary schedule in the kitchen. Once you've told the kids you're getting a divorce, it's common for them to go through an adjustment period. Just like you too will likely be going through an adjustment period. As family bonds are being reconfigured and a new normal is being established. So don't be too alarmed by some of the reactions you may see early in the transition. Think about how chaotic it feels for adults in this situation who have at least some control over what's happening. That adjustment period has to happen, so honor it and don't start to send the message, I just want you to be happy. You don't want to inadvertently pressure kids to feel like they need to be on board and happy about a divorce. While it may be true, of course, that you just want your kids to be happy as soon as possible, giving them the room to process their own feelings is an important part of their adjustment. One way to let kids know that it's okay to feel upset or angry is to encourage them to share how they're feeling. Start by saying, we want to know how you're feeling about this, and you're not going to hurt our feelings if you tell us how you feel. While this may be easier said than done, since what your child has to say may be difficult to hear, and it's important to give them the chance to be honest. Kids sometimes try to protect their parents from the truth about how they're feeling because they don't want to make their parents feel upset. If kids are already worried about a parent who's unhappy about the breakup, then they could be adding more upset on top of that. And it isn't a child's job to make a parent feel better. You don't want to inadvertently send a message that you will be sad if your child is sad. Make it clear that you are interested in what your child has to say, and then be careful not to let it hurt your feelings. Get whatever support you need to deal with how you feel and how your child feels and how that impacts you outside of that parent-child relationship. Rely on best friends, other family members, even a therapist if necessary. As part of respecting your child's emotions, do your best just to listen and not to intervene. While it's every parent's instinct to jump in and protect their child from things that are painful, and divorce is inevitably painful, taking a step back and just listening allows your child to feel heard and feel that their opinion matters. It also lets them know that their emotions aren't a problem to be solved or gotten over. This requires careful listening and empathizing. Validation. For example, if your daughter says she is angry, instead of immediately looking for a way to cheer her up, you could validate that emotion by saying you understand why she might feel that way and invite her to tell you more about that. As we talked about earlier, it's normal for kids to have an adjustment period in which they might be struggling. And there are things you can do to help your kids cope in the healthiest way possible. If your child feels guilty, it's common for kids to worry that they did something to cause their parents to get divorced. Kids are more prone to blaming themselves when they're younger because they're so egocentric. Even if you think they understand what's going on, that's something you want to make sure that you tell them explicitly. It's not their fault. When your child responds with anxiety, divorce may mean some fundamental changes in routines, which can make many kids anxious. If you notice signs of anxiety in your children, one way to help them make it very clear to them what they can expect. For example, what will their new living arrangements look like? For younger kids, it might help to post a calendar to show them where they will be each day. Your children will be reassured if you are able to establish a consistent routine. And as a parent, you should make that a priority. Kids struggle more if their parents are struggling to figure out how to co-parent and what's that going to look like. The earlier you can establish, you'll be here for these days and here for these days, and have that be consistent and predictable, you'll see kids settling in quicker and having less struggle. Another thing you may see from children are behavior issues. Children may start acting out more. This may be another sign of anxiety, Or kids might see this as a new opportunity to test out boundaries. Without as much of a structured environment, their behavior might get worse. So as much as possible, keep things structured in the same way in both households. If behavior issues continue to increase in frequency and intensity, you may want to seek out parent coaching. Coaching can provide psychoeducation as to what's happening in your child's brain and some ways to respond constructively to those responses. You can check out my online parent coaching course, Being With, at butterflybeginningscounseling.com/beingwith. The link will be below in the description. It is also common for kids to respond to a big transition in their lives by needing more parental attention. Some kids will regress and need more parental and adult support with things that they used to be able to do independently. You might see their sleep routine is disrupted, or they'll need you to help them do some self-care things, such as like tying their shoes a bit more than they used to. Parents might also see the opposite, kids becoming more withdrawn or aloof. While giving their children space is important, you still want to create opportunities to spend quality time with your child. So consider suggesting a special outing that may be particularly appealing to the child, or other ways to bond with them. Make sure, too, to do your best to be available to your child if they want to talk, and do a good job listening to what they have to say when they do. If you notice your child is losing interest in activities that they used to enjoy or not wanting to spend time with friends, try to get them back on track. You want to help maintain a sense of normalcy, and these outlets are so important. Wanting to withdraw may also be a sign of depression, adjustment disorder, or school refusal, which are all linked to divorce. So you will want to keep an eye out if your child continues to avoid things. Some kids may also start experiencing difficulty concentrating on schoolwork. Because life may be feeling so chaotic, do your best to create predictable, reassuring routines at home, including a regular homework routine. It's also a good idea to alert teachers to the fact that your family is going through a divorce, so that they can help your child get extra support at school if they need it. As much as possible, you want to model calm, like we've got this attitude, even if it's not true, even if only one parent has got this, particularly if you have young children. Modeling calm and insulating children from conflict are important during this time. Likewise, try to maintain as much normalcy as possible with home life, extracurricular activities. When changes do need to be made, create new routines and try to stick to them as much as possible. It's not healthy for children to have unnecessary conflict in their relationships with their parents. So another key is to do your best not to speak negatively about your spouse around your child. Someone could be a lousy spouse and a good parent, and you really don't want to deprive your child of a good parent. Kids do better with two loving parents, whether divorced or married. Sometimes conflict can arise once you begin working out how to co-parent. You may need to make compromises or take turns making decisions. Whatever you do, try to present a united front to your child as much as possible. If your spouse really isn't willing to be cooperative, do your best to set routines and expectations in your home, because that's where you have the control. Make sure you talk to your child's school counselor or teacher to find out if there are any services available through the school. Many schools have programs for children who are going through a divorce to provide some extra support. Also, if you are struggling, make sure you are getting support for yourself. Talk to your friends and family if you're feeling overwhelmed. Ask them for favors if you need them. People often want to help out, but they just don't know how. So, let them know if you need a hand with the groceries or just want to let off some steam. If you think you might benefit from talking with a therapist, don't hesitate to make an appointment. Remember, you can best support your child if you are feeling supported too. There is no question that divorce is hard on everyone in the picture. And if children continue to feel loved by both of their parents, and parents work together to create a stable, calm environment for their children, children can emerge from the situation in good shape. Over time, they will be calmer as they see everything becoming more familiar routine. Don't forget to check out the Being With course using the link below in the description. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share with a friend. Until next time, wherever you are in your day, hug your child and make it a great one.